Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Big Bros podcast, episode 48 today. 48, we're edging closer to 50, which we'll talk about later on. We've got some exciting things planned, but episode 48 today. Welcome if it's your first time joining us. My name's Jeremy, and I'm joined by my lovely friend and co-host, Ilan. How you going, mate?
Mate, I'm really good. Feeling relaxed, refreshed. Went up to Phillip Island to a friend's holiday house yesterday. Took advantage of the surf, although I can't surf. So I just body surfed and boogie boarded. And yeah, the weather was unreal. Had a nice barbecue. It was great. Watched a bit of the EPL last night. So feeling good.
It's a great end of town, mate. It's a great part of the world, Phillip Island. And
it's beautiful.
Like you said, it's the nice, smaller, little mundane things of just enjoying sunshine, enjoying the ocean, barbecue, good company. That's what summer's about,
Honestly,
isn't it?
if you want to feel good, I'm so jealous of people who get to live right next to a beach. Because it's my biggest dream, own a house right next to the water so I can go swimming every day. If you start off your day like that, rain, hail or shine, it's a good recipe for happiness, I reckon.
You feel $1 million, don't you?
Yeah, you're surrounded by nature, but nevertheless, how are you?
I'm good, mate, as well. Similar to you, just enjoyed the past weekend just by the spa at home, enjoying the sunshine, getting that vitamin D, feeling good, feeling refreshed after a hectic week. Because I've just started, as I've mentioned previously, just started full-time work. So it's been 3 weeks in now, heading into my 4th week now. So it's been epic, been loving it, but definitely enjoying the weather on the weekends, time with friends, good company. And yeah, ready to dive into this week and ready to dive into this episode, which as you guys can see from the title, we will be discussing whether males and females can be friends. Now, I reckon this is a topic that people might share vastly different opinions about. If you're in a relationship, you might not have friends of the opposite sex. You might have friends of the opposite sex, and your partner might think differently to you, perhaps. If you're single, you might share different opinions to your friends about this one as well. Ilan, you've got a nice quote here, which you found from someone who I cannot pronounce his name. So I'm going to dish it off to you and allow you to take the reins. So kick us off, mate, with this quote that you found, because it's a nice one, I reckon, to kick us off with.
So, German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche. I don't even know if that's the correct pronunciation, but he said that males and females can be friends, assuming that there is some physical antipathy between them. So,
antipathy?
Yeah, so pretty much meaning there's no sexual or physical attraction between the male and female.
So you can be friends if you're not sexually attracted to them.
Jeremy, that's spot on. And the reason that is because the reason you and I are good friends is because we're both straight and we don't have sexual attraction for each other. You're smiling, you're laughing, but that's just the truth of it. That's why a lot of men can become friends with one another, because they don't have that sexual attraction towards them. Humans are sexual beings at the end of the day. We have an impulse and kind of a incentive to procreate. So there's a reason why this topic might be controversial. It's because in past, males and female friendships have been a bit probably rockier than a male and male friendship or a female and female friendship.
Well, you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
You've got a girlfriend. How do you guys feel about this? Do you have female friends? Does your girlfriend have male friends? How does it work with you guys?
Good question. I think when it comes to being in a relationship, what you tend to find often is that you do have friends of the opposite gender, but in the context of like going on double dates and stuff like that. So you're not going to really see me going on a walk with like a girlfriend or anything like that. And
like a friend that's a girl.
Or my 10th girlfriend. Is that what you thought? No, you're completely right. Because I think it's just one of those things that it's maybe an unwritten rule. Now, could be some caveats, and people say, well, what if, your partner has a lifelong friend from childhood?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, I mean, if there's no sexual attraction that's there and there's no one party doesn't want something more, then I don't think that's an issue. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think that's unattainable for most people.
Wait, what part of it's unattainable?
Maintaining a truly platonic friendship. I do believe that it's possible that males and females can be friends. And I believe it can be possible that there can be truly platonic friendships where there's no physical attraction. That being said, I think as you get a little bit older, that gets increasingly harder to maintain. And there's
Why?
Because as you get older and people start settling down and you get into relationships, you have a internal biological clock, both males and females, that tells you, hey, let's date someone, let's potentially have kids, let's potentially start a family. Yes, gross generalization, I know. So anytime you start hanging around maybe the opposite gender and you have, again, physical attraction towards them, you might be more incentivized to get closer and closer to them. And what often tends to happen, it's usually guys who get the feelings first. I've seen a lot of videos where a girl's like, it's shit. I thought this guy was truly just a friend. I didn't see him in any other way, but he said to me, I want more.
They get a fright when the guy actually opens up how he truly feels. Yeah, you're right. You see it on TikTok videos all the time.
I want to say, I'm going to ask you this, right? When we're younger, it's way more common to have friends of the opposite gender, because especially in school, right? And I think that's a different context altogether, because I think that's a setting where you can pretty much, you're forced to blend in. You're forced to understand that you have to be friends with everyone. And even if you have like physical attraction towards them, you deal with it. But when you become married, you have children. Do you ever see your parents going for walks with the opposite gender?
You don't.
You don't.
You don't. And it would, when you say it like that, it would be weird if it kind of happened.
And some person might listen to me and say, "Oh, well, that's just you being insecure." It's just called being I'm sorry, it's just called being pragmatic and realistic.
Yeah.
Humans are sexual creatures. We're social creatures. We're meant to bond with one another. As I said to you, the reason you and I are good friends and not anything more is because we don't have a physical attraction, because we're both straight. It is really simple, and I think a lot of people are getting, into a lot of relationship issues nowadays, because now they're saying, you're not letting me hang out with my friend. I've known him for my entire life. And look, in a relationship, my principle is I'll never stop anyone from doing anything. You do what you want, and I'll make a judgment off that. I think everyone should do that. You should never control what other people do, because they'll end up doing it anyway.
Absolutely.
But you just make a note of it and decide to proceed how you wish.
Yeah, you mentioned, so the whole thing about our parents. Our parents, mum doesn't go on walks with other men. Dad doesn't go on walks with other women. We don't see that happen.
And guess what? If they did, where were you for 2 hours? Going for a walk. Oh, you got a coffee. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. We don't see it in our parents' generation. That begs the question, is it more a generational thing where for that generation, it just doesn't happen and it hasn't happened? Do you think for our generation, it might be different? Or do you reckon it's a thing where it's like, okay, like we're in our 20s, we're very sociable people still. So you will see often people in relationships hanging out with people of the opposite sex that they're not dating, that they're just being friends with. But do you think it's kind of like not a ticking time bomb, but for lack of better words, like a ticking time bomb type friendship where once the relationship they're in potentially gets more serious and they start getting into their late 20s, maybe their early 30s, those friendships that they once had will diminish just naturally.
Yeah, because the incentive is gone. As I said to you before, when males and females...
So that therefore, do you think there's an underlying incentive there?
Yes, because...
Always?
What do you mean always?
Because by incentive, do you mean an incentive to seek something more than just friendship?
How many guys do you know that have become friends with girls, and when you deep down ask them, okay, if she was actually interested in you, would you pursue that? How many of them would say yes? I'd say I would put if they're single, of course. I would say more guys than not. I'd say it's a common...
I'd say, probably majority. I'd say, I don't know about percentages, but majority would probably say, of the majority of the friends, the guys that I can think of that are friends with girls, and assuming that they are attractive girls, they would probably be open to it if she was open to it.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, there's this whole thing about, some people might bring in the argument, what about siblings, for example? You grow up with someone in your family and you don't just because they're a girl doesn't mean you have any attraction towards them. I think, and there's a theory about the fact that if you are brought up with someone in a very familial way, you grow an aversion towards them. So your brain somehow recognizes that this person's part of your clan, so you don't necessarily, pursue them as a mating partner, which is really, really interesting, because then you can make the argument, well, what if I had a lifelong friend from age 2 or 3 and I'm repulsed by anything more than than just a normal platonic friendship. And let's say that's your girlfriend, right? And they tell you this, and they tell you, I'm going on a travel trip with that person away. What are you saying to them?
Well, I think you made a good point there about whether they're a lifelong friend or not, because when I think of the female friends that I've got, I am really close with the ones that I have known for a longer period of time from, my earlier years, from like below the age of 10, that I'm still friends with now. And you're right. It is that kind of like repulsive thought that like, God, like obviously nothing would ever happen with us. And like, it would be disgusting if it did. And I wouldn't want it to.
And that's what you hope they feel as well. That's the thing.
You do.
And you can't control what they think. They might not think that.
Yeah, you're right. But then back to your question about like, okay, so say I was in a relationship and my partner wanted to travel with her lifelong guy friend, best friend, whatever it is. What would I say?
Are you comfortable with that? Are you leaving the relationship if she goes?
No, I'm not leaving the relationship. I think it's really contextual. That's a boring answer.
I disagree with you.
I think it's really contextual.
I don't care if it's a lifelong friend. I'm going to be really strict with you here.
You're saying no?
Well, first of all, I don't know what this person's incentive is, lifelong friend or not. For my partner, for sure, it could be a matter of, I don't view them in any other way. First of all, why are they traveling with them and not me? Like, come on. Like, I know that's going to sound like, why does your partner have to travel with you everywhere? It's like, well, you would think I'm ahead of the priority list than, a lifelong friend. You know what I mean? Your partner is also supposed to be your friend on some sort of level as well.
Absolutely.
But the other part is I don't know that person. I don't know what they're thinking.
What about we'll say you do know that person, you know him very well, you see him regularly when you're in town.
It's not appropriate.
Yeah.
I don't think it's appropriate regardless. I think there are certain things, and it has not a matter of trust or not. It's a matter of it's a matter of respect for the relationship.
Yeah.
Relationships are hard to maintain in the sense that after the whole infatuation period, it takes work to keep it really good. But the way to respect a relationship is by understanding that it's fallible, that it's fragile, in the sense that you need to actually water the plant. What that means is doing things that might not compromise the relationship, because first of all, whilst there might not be any sexual attraction, again, it's very possible that it can grow. Think about all the scenarios.
Sorry to cut you off.
Sure. I like this debate though. It's good.
Yeah. Does it change if he's not straight? If he's gay and, he's gay, are you comfortable?
More than comfortable.
Okay.
I think your sexual preference is a defining factor here. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, if it wasn't. I mean, my first relationship, I remember the one that I gave a whole sob story about how I was cheated on and everything. She had a lot of guy friends, but not many female friends. And I'm not saying that's a predictor of, poor relationship satisfaction. Maybe it is. I don't know the data on it. But, I was not an insecure type at the time. I was very much like, you hang out with who you want. I trust you. But those guys would make moves on her. And, eventually she faltered and that was her fault. But the point being is that I was very, very kind of secure about it. Then obviously you become burnt.
Yeah.
So you become insecure, and then you find that happy middle ground where you realize you can't be insecure about everything, but you draw boundaries. You draw a line. You draw a line in the sand. And I don't think anyone should ever make you feel bad for having those boundaries.
No, I think you're right, and I think why my answer is very wishy-washy versus your answer is because you're in a relationship and you're in a strong 2-3 year?
2.5 years.
2.5 year relationship. It's very different to me who's not in a relationship to, be sitting here and hypothesizing. But I can say that probably if I was in your position, I'm in a 2-3 year relationship and my girlfriend wants to travel with a straight guy friend.
It's just not appropriate.
I think more so than saying no to it and not allowing it, I think you're right. I would just be more confused about the incentive behind it. I would just be like, why? I think it's right. I just don't think it would sit well with me. And I think I would feel, maybe disrespected too. Because like you said, why would she want to be with him away overseas and not with you?
Exactly. Or even her own girlfriends.
Yeah. You know what? Say it's a matter of she's got no friends to travel with at that time. She can't travel with you at that time. I don't really think it makes a difference. I still think it would still sit uncomfortably with me no matter what. So I do get it.
Yeah, I think it is. Again, go back to the parents example. Would you ever see your parents do a holiday like that? No, they
no.
wouldn't. And it comes down to respecting the relationship.
Yeah.
That being said, though, let's say there is a scenario where men, two people, male and female, friends, truly platonic, there's no feelings involved. I think there's still a lot of benefits that can be derived from that. You want to share what you think about that?
Absolutely. I take a lot of pride in the friendships I've got with females. I've got, some great female friends, and I think what you mentioned it slightly before, is that like, as guys, we can be quite boisterous. A lot of our conversations can be very chop, very cutthroat at times.
Bit rogue
at times. Whereas like, the way I interact with my female friends, I can get a sense of sensitivity and emotional maturity and some empathetic type behavior and vibe from them that I might not be able to get from the relationships I have with my mates. And I think those are some of the beautiful qualities that I can see in the in the friendships that I've got with my female friends. And I mean, as a guy myself, I feel like personally, I've kind of got those characteristics too. I feel like I'm quite like a sensitive, empathetic, compassionate. I feel like I've got those qualities as well. And I feel like that allows me to bond with females quite well in terms of friendships. But like you said as well, I don't think I'd be able to be friends with a girl wholeheartedly if I was sexually attracted to them, because then I would want to pursue it, right? I wouldn't want to just be their friend.
Yeah,
I'd want to make them my girlfriend.
It's funny there, and just zooming out of the whole like attraction and being males and like, can males be friends with females? I think men and women can learn a lot from each other. Something I've thought about as well is like, even in like a relationship context, but even your own kids. Imagine you're a dad and you're a very brutish sort of individual. You don't share your emotions. You're quite stoic, and you have a daughter. And
isn't that what being a man's about, Ilan? We don't have emotions.
Yeah, no,
don't share your emotions.
I've never cried before. Did
don't
you know
cry.
That? I don't even know what tears feel like.
We're joking, of course.
Yeah, exactly, of course. But it's funny because I've seen like these brutish men, like, and then they have a daughter, and like they're around their daughters, and they're like so much more chill, and it's almost like they bring them back to reality. It gives them a duality. They're very brutish males, but they also have a sensitive side because they've got a daughter. And it shows them a way of being a little bit more sensitive, of being a little bit more expressive in their emotions. And it's kind of a beautiful thing to see.
It's like, or as well, when you see like they get a family dog and it's a puppy, and it's typically when you hear like, the family wants a dog, the kids want a dog, the mum wants a dog, and the dad's like, nah, I'm not allowing any mutt in my house. I'm not bloody picking up their crap. I'm not taking them for walks. If you want a dog, you do it. And then the family gets the dog, and it's the dad that falls in love with the dog more than anyone else.
Exactly.
And changes their personality around it, starts baby talking the dog.
Exactly.
It's funny. It brings out that
it's
duality.
It's great, and I think it's healthy. And that's what I remember even when I was back in school. Again, you're going through puberty with a bunch of boys, and boys are trying to impress one another. You're never going to share your darkest, deepest thoughts. I remember when I had like friends who were girls, it would come naturally for them. They would ask me questions that I would potentially think about the answer to, but I would never reveal in front of a bunch of guys. But with a bunch of girls, it's like it came naturally. And I remember when
you felt more willing to share like your sensitivity in your answers.
Oh yeah, it's like, something happened. How did you feel about that? Like, when you're in year 9, year 10, and you're with a bunch of guys, at least I don't remember receiving that. Because I think...
You're fine, mate.
Yeah, you're fine, mate. But it was like nice. It's like, so it is a normal thing to talk about how I'm feeling or what my thoughts are on this or reflecting on this and being a little bit more sensitive. And I think the good thing there is, again, the whole duality. So being able to know when to be sensitive, when to be sharing your emotions, when is the appropriate time for all these things. And I remember it taught me a lot. So I'm not going to sit here and say that no, there's no value that can be derived from having friends of the opposite gender. I think there is. It's just quite a bit of a risk to take on, because males and females are very social creatures, and there is that sexual attraction that can creep in.
Yeah, I think, when I think about my friendships with my female friends, like I said before, I wouldn't be able to devote myself wholeheartedly as a friend, strictly as a friend, if I was sexually attracted to them. Because hormones kick in and your mind ponders, like, having a different type of relationship with them if you are really sexually attracted to them. So I think that is a really key factor that needs to be accounted for with regards to pursuing friendships with the opposite sex. Now, what happens, and what do you reckon, when in the circumstance where, feelings have potentially come up and been spoken about? You were just friends, right? You were just friends. So you're just friends with a female friend, and one of you talks about potentially having feelings for one another, and the opposite is like, nah, I don't. Like, we're just friends. Friend zones them. Do you reckon they can go back to being normal friends or not, to the level that they were previously?
Speaking from personal experience, no, you can't. Because
Same.
No, it's true. It's as much as you might fantasize for having the good old friendship where there was no complicated things. I remember in school I had like an incident like that, and it just doesn't work. And I think it's fine that it doesn't work. You're going against your nature.
Learned.
Yeah, it's a lesson learned. I think there's no shame in that. Honestly, it's probably a good thing that, okay, you got those feelings and now you can't really be friends with them. And I think it's unfair of the other person to expect that other person to drop their feelings for them, because I think it's just, you're going against your nature. And I don't know, there's a psychologist called Sadia Khan. She's becoming very popular and stuff on poddies and whatnot. She comes on as a guest. And they were asking, why is it that it's more men that usually have feelings for girls, and the girls get, like, why are you telling me you've got feelings for me? I thought we were just friends. And she had a very interesting theory. I don't know if I completely agree with it. Then again, I'm not a girl, and I would love to hear a girl's opinion on this. But she said this, that a girl would rather have someone who secretly loves them, such as a guy, relative to a person who secretly hates them but still hangs out with them, as in a girl. And the idea there being is that guys are very direct. If we want to be friends with you, we're very easy to make friends with. You like golf, I love golf, we're friends, right? And with a girl, it could be the case that, hey, I hate you, but hey, let's go get our nails done together. And it could be that for a girl, knowing that I'm hanging around with someone that just doesn't like me, I'd rather just surround myself with someone who's actually straight and direct. And even if they haven't told me that they have true feelings for me, I don't really care. I think it's a bit manipulative in that case. I think you shouldn't be friends with someone if you know that there is feelings, unless you've got the same feelings for that person. Because think about if you were in their shoes, you wouldn't really be appreciative of it.
Yeah, again, would love to know a female's opinion on this, because it would give us a better insight into it. But yeah, if I was thinking role reversal and that was me, and I think this girl is like in love with me, I don't think I would be making the active effort to be seeing her as a friend consistently, because I feel like that's just kind of like, it's kind of leading them on without fully verbalizing it. Don't you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of times, males and females, so it actually doesn't matter who's got the feelings in this case. I think we can just say, oh, I just love their attention. You crave their attention, you enjoy it, but you know nothing's ever going to eventuate. And I think that's wasting everyone's time.
That's also a bit red flaggy. Like, why would you like want to hang out with someone just because you know that they love you giving them attention?
Backup plan. I think on a subconscious level, a lot of people say, if I can't get anyone else, I'll go for them. I mean, think of
that's not the type of person I'd want to be friends with anyway, right?
No, you wouldn't want to be, of course not.
That's like being friends with someone that's just not self-sufficient, that has very low self-esteem, that's very insecure.
Bro, the thing for me is, it's kind of connected to this point. I'm a massive believer of radical honesty and truth. If you like someone, you tell them. You show your intention. If you don't, you are saving so many people, like both your time.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, like even from personal experience, when you try to cover things up, people can tell.
Yeah.
But energy is a very strong thing to detect.
Body language.
And words are nothing. Words mean F all. Words is the conscious thought of what do I have to say. But if you really like someone and there's feelings involved on a subconscious level,
it's the elephant in the room.
mate, you can feel it.
You can feel it.
And I'm sure there's been times in your life where like, you've spoken to a friend and you thought they were, they really, really just viewed you as like a platonic friend. And they would say that to you. But in essence, you probably were like, nah, doesn't check out. I can feel that there's something more here.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that. Yeah. Friendships with girls that I thought were purely platonic, purely mates. And either they expressed their feelings or made a move to some extent or whatever. And yeah, it shocks you. You feel a bit shocked. And it never goes back to feeling the same.
You can't go to friends to relationship or even friends with benefits and then go back to being friends. Anyone who says otherwise,
benefits too,
it's never has sustainability.
I've never had a friends with benefit relationship, and I'm so happy that I haven't, because I think that is, like, we talk about situationships. I think a friends with benefits relationship is even dire, because you're not just losing. Like in a situationship, okay, you're experiencing a lot of confusion with someone that you're purely just having like sex with and sexual activities with and all of that. But like with a friends with benefit relationship, you've got all of that, plus you've got the friendship hanging on the line as well. And when that blows up, because it eventually does, it's just like a volcano erupting, you lose everything, and you lose the entire friendship as well, and it's never going to go back to being the same. And you're lying if you say it does go back to being the exact same in terms of how well you guys were friends. I'd be very surprised.
If I could give a tip to any kid in school who is friends with the opposite, like has some girlfriends, like friends who are girls, but they have actual feelings towards one of them, don't shit around. Actually make a move or something. And that doesn't mean necessarily something physical, but say what you mean and mean what you say and own it. And if they don't feel the same way, great. Now you don't have to spend the next 6-7 months, overthinking the Snapchat messages and being left undelivered and all that stuff.
Half open reads on your Snapchat.
You save yourself so much time, and you save them time. And yeah, sure, look, they might be upset and say, I've lost a friend. And
so be it. That's life.
Because then again, I wasn't your genuine friend.
Yeah.
I liked you more than a friend. So it's not a true friendship. So that's my advice I give is usually spare, because like I'm a huge believer of figuring out things on your own. But I promise you, just own what you want. Don't be afraid to chase it. And if it doesn't work out, leave. Don't try and rescue it. I swear, the amount of times I've heard people say after they've broken up, oh, you know what? What if we just remain friends?
Oh, yeah. That's another topic in itself.
Sweetheart, darling, what are you doing to yourself? You're going to create more tears in the long run.
Yeah, we've spoken about that one in the past as well. Being friends after you've broken up.
I'm just going to give you straight and simple advice. It's just not going to work. You really got to treat yourself like you would treat a best friend. And I reckon with a best friend, you wouldn't tell them, hey, you should stay friends with your ex. I don't know.
You can be civil. Definitely be civil with them.
I'm not telling you to go fucking commit a purge.
No.
Of course, be civil. Be a good human being.
It's different.
I think there is a massive difference.
Massive difference. Yeah. Remain civil. But when it comes to like going back to being friends, like let's just be friends like we were. Like everyone knows who's been in that situation. You can give it a go, but it's never gonna stay the same. It's never gonna work.
Correct. Jeremy, I've got one more question to ask you. All right, I'm gonna give you some quick fire scenario questions. Let's say your girlfriend wants to go on a coffee date. So just like meet up for coffee with their male best friend.
Yes, they can do that.
Okay, go for drinks. Movies.
Drinks and movies. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't make me feel so comfortable. I'd be thinking drinks or movies? Why can't you just go out for coffee?
Okay, but what makes a coffee way more innocent?
I think daytime versus nighttime is a big thing when you talk about going on dates. Why do a lot of people on their Hinge dates choose to do things, and Tinder dates choose to do things at night versus typically during the day.
Because they're probably at work.
Because great, they're probably at work. But I think a whole theme of night is it's more romantic, is it not? It's more romantic than during the day.
But even so, like coffee date, they're talking to each other. They can still communicate as they would if they went to a bar.
Yeah, but it's more of an, I feel like it's more of an open setting as well. It's daytime. There's people around. Versus going for drinks at night. It's nighttime. It's more romantic. It's a little bit more intimate. There's alcohol involved. You're getting a little bit more tipsy. It's not something that I would feel so comfortable with my girlfriend going out for a drinks date with just one other guy friend. And why can't they, like, they can still meet up and be friends, but I think there's a matter of respecting the boundaries
and respecting
the circumstances.
And is this under the assumption that we know that, you know, this guy has no feelings towards your partner?
Exactly. We don't really know, do we? You never know.
Again, I'm going to be a hardline no for these because, as I said earlier,
coffee is so. I'm going to ask you. So your girlfriend's going out for a coffee with a guy friend. How do you feel about that?
Again, we're returning back to what I said before, which is I think there's a difference between kind of having trust in the relationship and respecting the relationship. It doesn't actually matter what the context is, because if you're one-on-one with that person, there's physical attraction that can grow. I don't really care that I've been in a relationship for 3.5 years. Just because I've been in 2.5 years. Just because I've been in a relationship for that long doesn't mean that, you know, all the trust is built, all the respect is built. No, you got to maintain that sort of thing. And I'm a huge believer of the fact that, again, feelings can develop. If you spend enough time with someone, you grow appreciation, you grow trust towards them. And yes, my partner might not have any feelings towards them. I do not know that about that guy. And guess what? I would love to run an experiment, pretend that me and you have just broken up, tell the person and say, let's go get drinks or something. That's a great experiment to run, I reckon. Would tear a few friendships apart. But
So
I'm
you're
old
saying
school.
no.
I'm old school.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm saying no. I'm saying you do whatever you want, but
you wouldn't feel comfortable
this is
with it.
this is, you know, a conflict of my values. Clearly, me and you have different values pertaining towards a relationship and what's respectful and what's not respectful. And that's fine. You do what you want, and I'm not going to stop you. I will never stop anyone from doing anything that they want. If they want to do something, they do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, whether I choose to tolerate it or not is my own decision.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to the point we made earlier. When else have you seen your parents go for coffee dates with the opposite gender? A lot of girls might listen to this and be like, well, I don't have feelings for this guy. I don't have feelings for this guy. Which means he doesn't have feelings for me. Test him. I'm serious. I'm serious. I promise you, I would put a punt out that 7 out of 10 times that person would make a move.
Assuming
they're single. Especially if they're single.
Assuming they're sexually attracted to each other.
I mean, it also comes back to the fact that it's harder for guys to get into relationships with girls, especially at a young age, relative to girls getting into relationship with guys. So when something's more scarce, you're more desperate for it.
That's a good point.
So I'm going to leave it on that. I don't know if there's else. I think a lot of people disagree with me, and I kind of welcome that. I think a bit of flavor to this podcast is always a good thing. But yeah, Jeremy, this has been thoroughly enjoyable.
It's been great. It's been really enjoyable. And I think you're right. Let's leave it there whilst our thoughts are still flowing.
Yeah,
and
love
the
it.
blood is still pumping, and we're left pondering, because that's the aim. We want to leave you guys pondering as well. So we hope you take away some nice things from this episode. Hopefully it's made you guys ponder your thoughts as well and how you view this topic, and have a think about it and let us know. We'll be posting polls and opinions throughout the week, as we have been in recent weeks too. So we would love to hear your engagement. We'd love for you to get involved and tell us what you think about these topics. So it's good food for thought.
And you know what I'm really interested in with these polls? The difference of opinion between guys and girls. I'm really curious to see with our little bro study. Big Bros is really turning into a brocast, isn't it? Oh, oy vey.
It's good. We've got a nice balance, mate.
All right, tell me, what's happening for episode 50?
Episode 50 is coming up in a couple of weeks, and we have an exciting little giveaway coming, guys. So stay tuned for that. It'll be spoken about more next week and the week leading up to our 50th. So we can't wait. We cannot believe it's already 50 episodes in, and this giveaway is going to be something special, and it's going to go to a lucky person. So stay tuned for that. Keep staying involved, and we are so appreciative of your involvement and can't thank you guys enough for listening. And if you are enjoying, let us know, like the show, support us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and yeah, stay tuned for more.
Love it. See you guys.
Bye.